Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? Welcome back to another day of Indiemas. We are going to be talking about some eyeshadow palettes that you can pry from my cold dead hands. Not to be too dramatic with the title or anything, but I was just thinking about how I have some palettes in my collection that have been discontinued and that I could no longer get, and I just feel like if these were not in my possession, I would be so upset. I never want to not have them, even if I can't use them, hygienically. I still just appreciate them in my collection. They have more meaning to me than just makeup. Some of these are getting very old, so I divided them into two different categories. I have palettes that I would be sad if I didn't have, and then I have palettes that I would actually be devastated, full on devastated if I woke up and they weren't there. So let's just go ahead and jump on in. This is probably gonna be a short and sweet one because Indiemas is kind of kicking my butt right now, but did not want to miss a day. So starting off, I have two palettes here from Blush Tribe. They are an indie brand that has unfortunately closed down. They've been out of business for a while. They still hold a special place in my heart because I associate their palettes with a specific time in my career here on YouTube and just really niching down with indie makeup. I just remember feeling so inspired and so in love with everything that they created. So my top two palettes, the ones that have lasted even throughout different declutters, because I have, tried to get rid of some things as time has gone on that I'm not constantly reaching for, but these are two that they're not going anywhere. So I have the Hasina 2 palette. This is such a stunning color story. It's a mixture of purple, blue, and green. I don't really reach for this one very much anymore. Like I said, it's getting old and it's also just not my style now. But for a long time, this was such a favorite to me that it means a lot. And like I said, you can't really get your hands on it anymore. I'm sure that if you tried to, it would be very, very expensive. And then I also have the Blush Tribe and Paulina palette. Paulina, she does not really do YouTube content very much anymore. She's got a whole little family now. Every once in a while, she'll post a makeup reel or something on Instagram, but I definitely miss her content and I just loved this collaboration. I thought it was done so beautifully. And, I'm so nostalgic when it comes to collab palettes, especially when it's from my friends and, my acquaintances. And I'm just like, you did that and I'm so happy for you. So this is another one that I just cannot not have. So continuing on with the palettes that would make me sad if I didn't have, we have the Natasha Denona holiday palettes. I think this is from 2017 or something like that. And this was a no-brainer for me because these were limited edition and they were super special to me. I just feel like they're the cutest little 5-pan palettes. I love the packaging, the vibes. So we've got the Holiday 01 Joya palette. I feel like Natasha Denona does not really do cute little palettes like this anymore. Everything is the tiny minis and they're not always as amazing quality as the bigger ones. Oh, I'm so sad. 2 shadows just fell out. Wow. That was not cool. I'm sticking it back in. That's crazy. It came out in one piece. Okay. Let me be more careful. This is the Aries palette and I don't know, there's just something about these two that just have always gotten to me. I don't know. I would be very sad to not have these. Okay, next we have the Pat McGrath Bridgerton collaboration, and it's funny because I feel like so many collabs, it's like, oh, but would you really be buying it if it wasn't for the collab? Blah, 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 logical decisions. But I just love these so much. The aesthetic, the packaging, the product that's inside is great. It's good quality. I have no complaints. I still reach for them sometimes, not all the time, but they just make me happy as a makeup lover, as a girly girl. I love them so much. Some super, super special shadows in here. I think Diamond of the First Water is my favorite color story of all the different little parts of the collab. And I also love the lippy packaging, just outstanding. It was so well done, but I'd be so sad. You can't have them. You cannot take them from me. Who's trying to take your palettes, Amy? Literally no one. So now let's move on to some palettes that I would be devastated if I could not have. So I obviously had to pull out the Melt Cosmetics Vida and Muerte palettes. just gotta put them together, you know the vibes. I love this collab so, so much. It's my favorite thing that Melt has ever done. It is my favorite, not Halloween release, because obviously Dia de los Muertos is a different holiday, but you know, a spooky time release. The packaging, the color stories, they did no wrong, in my opinion, when it comes to this collection. Just so vibrant, so fun. They work so well together. I did see recently the new Blend Bunny and Lynn's and Glisten Cosmetics. It was like a triple collab. They have packaging where it's kind of similar vibes, where it's two palettes that go together, but they stick really well. That's the only thing I wish this was like a little bit more magnetic, where they would stay together a little bit better. But again, I don't care how old these get. They're not going anywhere. I will have a museum in the future. You're all invited. Another really sentimental one to me is the Oden's Eye and Makeup Just for Fun collaboration. This is the Flora Story palette, and Oden's Eye has so many amazing collabs, but Amanda is just my bestie, and I love this palette so, so much. The purple and the greens. I have Magnolia all over my lid today. It's such a pretty, super sparkly, easy to use shadow. I just think it's so beautiful. Amanda and I also have similar styles where we dig some color, we dig some neutral. We want a good mix of both, so I really vibe with her vibes, and it just means a lot to me. I think these next two, we're moving on from devastated to, what's worse, like catastrophic. How can I possibly be more dramatic? Like, these are the two that maybe you should bury me with, and if you try to take them, even when I'm dead, I will come back and haunt you. Is that too much? I feel like you're not gonna be surprised by these at all, but the Kaleidos and Angelica Nyqvist Club Nebula palette, this has been a favorite for so long. Angelica has done quite a few different collab palettes at this point, but for me, Club Nebula is always and has always been my top favorite. I just love, I think the mattes that are in here are the absolute most. You've got so many rich, deep tones, and I fell in love with these cool tones. I've got all the mattes from that row in my crease today, and then I also used a little bit of these two shimmers on my inner corner, but I will say I can feel them starting to dry out a little bit. They're not as magical as they were when they first got to me, which makes me sad, but you know, it happens over time. But the mattes are still just as pigmented, just as blendable, like no complaints, good to go. And I don't know, I just love this one. I love it so, so much. It is kind of a chunky packaging, but I don't even care. I will always make space. And then lastly, we have the Natasha Denona Gold palette. This is just the most beautiful neutral color story with spice to it. I feel really lucky because I think I got this like 5 years ago or something now at this point, and my shimmers are still creamy, still beautiful, like maybe a little bit less than originally, but still really, really good. And I have had some comments from y'all that yours have dried out or that you haven't had it as long and like it's just not as good, so I'm so, so sorry that yours is not holding, but I love this color story so much. This is gonna sound so basic, but I just love that they took that classic gold shade that, you know, most people consider to be probably one of the most wearable eyeshadows, and they made it different and unique and fun. And you've got so many options in here. And yes, you do have a true boring gold, but you also have brightest yellow gold and this iridescent white gold, and then like the most beautiful golden green bronzy tones. You've got a super sparkly gold topper shade, some pops of Dijon and blue, and it's just, to me, it's the best palette that Natasha Denona has ever done. Nothing else comes close. The gold doesn't come close. The Yucca, it's beautiful. I love it for what it is, but I don't think it comes close. The only thing I can say is that Alter Ego has a dupe version of this, and it's a pretty good dupe. I still prefer my original. I prefer this because it's like a baby to me. I do have a video from a few years back I can put in the cards for you if you want to see a full-on comparison, because the Alter Ego dupe is still available. I don't have mine anymore because I ended up giving it to my mom, I'm pretty sure, because I really liked it. I did, but I didn't need to have both, so I passed it along. But you know what? When I start to feel truly disgusting for using this palette still, like, I don't know, maybe like another 2 years or something, I will probably purchase the dupe and use that instead. Alrighty, y'all. So that is my stack of palettes here that I'm gonna be hiding in a safe, apparently. I don't know. This might be my most dramatic video yet, but I hope that you enjoyed it, and I would love to know if you have any discontinued palettes that you never ever ever want to live without. I also have a one that got away, the Kaleidos Deep Sea Luster. I still think about that palette probably too much, but feel free to have a conversation with me down below, and I will see you tomorrow for another day of Indiemas. Bye.